Back again, discussing the swine flu. I've done a lot of research the past couple days, and, didn't really want to trust the American media anymore. Didn't really feel like I was getting the full story. So I actually started looking at some of the Mexican, media, and, some, people who don't really have any ties to professional journalism who are posting things off of the Mexican media in English, and that was very helpful for me as well. In this one particular site, um, it's somebody's news blog that they work quite hard on by the looks of it. And just to tell you what you're looking at here in this first picture is a picture of a oxidation pond, commonly known as the pig waste lagoons, down in the area of Mexico, where it is believed that the swine flu outbreak originated from this actual town where these lagoons are. And these lagoons are filled with the concentrated excrement, blood, and the rotting bodies of dead pigs. Um, you know, just so you know who owns this plant. Everybody wants to blame the Mexicans for this, but let me tell you who owns this. This is actually owned by the company Smithfield. You might know them for Smithfield ham, things like that. And of course, they're denying all claims right now. They're saying that it's nothing they've done, but you'll see these lagoons. I'll show you some more pictures. There's a dead pig just laying in the lagoon. Here are dead carcasses just laying out in the heat. More dead pigs. Scroll up here and I'll read some of this to you. Just reading this one paragraph, it says, however, Smithfield's statement fails to mention the countless residents of Longoria, that's the town in Mexico this is from, that were routinely and relentlessly exposed to airborne droplets of pig feces and decayed tissue for an undetermined number of years, thanks to toxic and sick-making clouds blowing outward from Granja Carroll's so-called oxidation ponds or pig sewage lagoons. And they have a long there's been a lot of complaints over the years of respiratory illnesses well before the children started dying in March from this in this area. The company is, obviously denying this, because for them to be, the cause of this or have an influence in this is very, very bad publicity for them, obviously. And but the truth needs to come out. All this is going to do right now is just breed hatred towards Mexicans when it's not even a Mexican company or even a Mexican that's doing this. This is an American company who has who the reason why they have these pig farms in Mexico is so that they can get away with just the dumping of the bodies in the rivers and not having to dispose of them properly, which costs more money for them, and so that they can just keep the pigs in worse living conditions, which we know. There's actually been reports, even in American news, about this, that pigs kept in smaller cages causes more stress and makes them more receptible to getting these bad illnesses. So now here's the question: is this influenza virus is obviously a combination of the swine flu, human influenza, and the avian flu, and it's very simple how this would happen. These pools, these toxic wastes, a couple birds go down and start picking at some of the dead bodies or drinking some of the water in the area that's contaminated from this, and they get a swine flu infected with the bird, or they're not even really necessarily affected. They're just carrying the swine flu, plus they already have avian flu, and then a Mexican maybe or somebody catches that bird and eats it or something. It lands in their water supply and plays around in their water supply, and that Mexican drinks that water. Now that Mexican may have already had the human flu is now going to combine with this avian flu and this swine flu, and therefore creating this hybrid flu, which is now what we're seeing. So I think what needs to happen is people need to call out Smithfield. We need to ask the American media why they're not covering the story yet, why we haven't heard anything about this. But it's all over the European and the Mexican media, and I think it's time that the American media started showing it. Now, I mean, some speculations as why big companies, big news broadcasting companies like NBC or somebody wouldn't show it. It's because Smithfield's almost like a partner with them, because if you ever watch the Today Show, They always have like that cooking. Every day they have somebody cooking in there, and half the time it's the whatever her name is from the Food Network that pretty much represents Smithfield. So that would be bad business. So, but I think it's time for them to get called out, because this is a problem, and if they're the cause of this, then we need to know what it is that they're doing wrong, so that we can't make that same mistake. And it's very simple. What they're doing wrong is they're taking advantage of a country that has low standards for pollution control to make a greater profit, and taking the lazy and less expensive way out so they can make more profit for their CEOs and their shareholders. And so that's all good for them, but now this comes out, and this is devastating, and it's going to continue to wreak havoc on the entire world. And who knows how out of control this thing is going to be, and it's too late to control it. But we have to know, this is the source of this, most likely. I am 90% sure this is the source of this. This is not, like other videos that I may have said that I may have started to agree with some of the crazies out there, who are trying to scare people into saying, this is the New World Order or whatever it is, and the government trying to, false flag, repressive terrorism, not the whole 9 yards. No, this is very simply a company, American company, classic example of them polluting and not having to take responsibility for it. And there's so many cases in history where this has been evident, that companies, do this crap, and it's just ridiculous that they're allowed to get away with this. And I believe that if Smithfield is fully found to be the responsible for this, I believe they should pay settlements to every single person affected by this. They should pay for their medical bills for the next 2 years, just to cover them for the hard times they put them through. And if anybody's died, they owe that family, the person who died, a big settlement too, because this is their irresponsibility, and they shouldn't be allowed to walk away without having harsh consequences, not just little fines and here and there. They need to have harsh consequences brought upon them, because they have done something terrible.